Welcome back to day 24, and I have a question for you. Are you building something with or for God? If that is the case, then this chapter is for you. As I was spending some time just rehearsing what the word was saying, I just felt an impression that the Lord wanted to speak to people who have businesses or organizations that they are building or leading. There are some truths in here that are just for you. So we'll get started with verse 1 and see what the Lord has to say. We're in chapter 24 of Proverbs, and we're going to start in verse 1. Again, I'm in the New King James Version. You can read along with whatever translation that makes the most sense for you. I always encourage to look at several because there'll be little things that you'll learn and different nuances with each translation. So here we go. Verse 1. Do not be envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them. For their heart devises violence, and their lips talk of troublemaking. Through wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is strong. Yes, a man of knowledge increases strength. For by wise counsel you will wage your own war, and in a multitude of counselors there is safety. Wisdom is too lofty for a fool. He does not open his mouth in the gate. He who plots to do evil will be called a schemer. The devising of foolishness is sin, and the scoffer is an abomination to men. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Verse 11, deliver those who are drawn toward death and hold back those stumbling to the slaughter. If you say, surely we did not know this, does not he who weighs the hearts consider it? He who keeps your soul, does he not know it? And will he not render to each man according to his deeds? My son, eat honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to your taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be to your soul. If you have found it, there is a prospect, and your hope will not be cut off. Do not lie in wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Do not plunder his resting place, for a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again, but the wicked shall fall by calamity. Verse 17, do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and do not let your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest the Lord sees it and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Do not fret because of evildoers, nor be envious of the wicked, for there will be no prospect for the evil man. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. My son, fear the Lord and the king. Do not associate with those who are given to change, for their calamity will rise suddenly, and who knows the ruin those two can bring. Verse 23, these things also belong to the wise. It is not good to show partiality in judgment. He who says to the wicked, you are righteous, him the people will curse. Nations will abhor him, but those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them. He who gives a right answer kisses the lips. Prepare your outside work, make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterward build your house. Do not be a witness against your neighbor without cause, for would you deceive with your lips? Do not say, I will do to him just as he has done to me. I will render to the man according to his work. Verse 30, I went by the field of the lazy man, and by the vineyard of the man devoid of understanding. And there it was, all overgrown with thorns. Its surface was covered with nettles. Its stone wall was broken down. When I saw it, I considered it well. I looked on it and received instruction. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. So shall poverty come like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. And that's the ending of chapter 24. There were a couple of verses. Again, I'm always looking for the themes. So the first thing that came to mind was verse 5 and 6, but I also felt like it was really connected to verse 10. So 5 and 6, a wise man is strong. Yes, a man of knowledge increases strength, for by wise counsel you will wage your own war, and in a multitude of counselors there is safety. And then it follows up with verse 10, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. So where that has to do with those that are building with the Lord, when you are wise, when you are seeking counsel, when you are surrounding yourself with a multitude of counselors, you are strong and you are safe. But when adversity comes and your strength fails you, it means that your strength is small. You have not built yourself up in enough wisdom. You have not built yourself up with the amount of counselors that you need. When things start to get hairy, which they always will, if you don't have a place to go for solace, if you don't have a place to go for counsel and advice when times get tough, it feels like when you are in it alone, you are fighting the battle alone, and you can become weary. But when you have surrounded yourself with the right people, the right information, the right practical application, then your strength will be great. I was also reminded of 2 Corinthians 12:9, where Jesus says, my strength is made perfect in weakness. And so when we are weak, when we are feeling small, when we are feeling like the adversity is too heavy, the pressure is too much while we're building, we do have the most wise counselor, and his name is Jesus. We have him to go to. This full book of the Bible is full of counselors. It is full of wise men, but also fools that we can take a look at the folly and the things that they've experienced and the consequences of their action, and we can learn from those things. You would find when we go through verse 30 to 34, when there was a man who went to the field of the lazy man, or into the vineyard of the man devoid of understanding. What did he see? He saw that it was overgrown. It was covered in nettles and vines. The stone wall was broken down. And he was able to glean instruction just from seeing what was going poorly with another man's vineyard, another man's field. So you don't always have to learn the lesson through your own experiences. You can learn through the lessons and experiences of other people. You can learn what to do, what not to do, what things you need to put in place, what things you don't need to neglect. And when I read that passage, I immediately thought about the television show that used to come on, Undercover Boss, where the CEO would go in disguise and he would go to different parts of his business to see, put his eyes on the vineyard, to put his eyes on the field, to see what was going on. And in those times, he or she would find issues. He would find problems with employees, problems with processes, problems with procedures, things that had been neglected because he had been distant or far away. And some of the process and procedures that maybe he or she wanted to put in place were not being followed. Sometimes you have to go over your business to see what may have been neglected, to see what may have been not followed. The process haven't been followed, where people have gotten out of position and out of line. It is important that you steward your place well. And that really speaks to the other passage in verse 27 of chapter 24. It says, prepare your outside work, make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterward build your house. A lot of times there's a temptation when you are building and you're putting in the groundwork, you're laying the foundations, you are preparing the product, you're preparing the service to be able to bring to the market, you're preparing the deliverables that you want to put out there in the marketplace. There can be temptation when there starts to be some success to start to take that in and to take your focus off of continuing to make sure that your field and your vineyard is being tended to focus on other things. In this case, this passage is telling you to pay attention to the field where your work is. You can look at home later. You can establish later. You can make it pretty later. You can put the bells and whistles on later. But if your foundation is not viable, if your foundation is not growing and developing and sustaining itself, you end up finding places like in verse 30 through 34 where things are neglected, where walls are broken down. You haven't put the fortified walls around. You haven't put the processes in place. You haven't put the boundaries in place, or the boundaries have been moved or have been shaken and have not been tended to. So I think that the Lord really wants to say, if you're going to build with me, you need to have the right people and the right information around you. You need to be continually checking, continually improving, continually looking for where the cracks in the foundation happen to be, so that it can be fortified, so you can continue to grow and be prosperous. And then the last thing that I wanted to share was in verse 3 and 4. It says, and this is about, again, building with the Lord, through wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. So this passage is talking about the field and the home. The field is the work that the Lord has put your hands to. The home is your personal house, your physical house, the things that are personal to you. And there's a sort of a dance between spending time in the field and spending time in the home. But you can't build any of those things. You cannot have the harvest that you're looking for without the Lord at the center and without his wisdom that is available to you, because wisdom is how you build the house. Wisdom is how you tend to your field, to your products, services, your customers, your employees. All of those pieces are important, and you need to have the right grounding, the right advice and counsel, and that's going to come from the Word. That's going to come from the partners that you entertain and that you do business with. The other thing that this chapter talks a lot about is what's happening with your enemies. The Lord is very particular about not being so focused on people that are not doing the right thing. Don't be so focused on what your enemies are doing. Don't rejoice when your enemies are failing. So even competitors in your marketplace or in your community that are offering the same services or products that you are, don't be worried about what they are doing. Let that take care of itself. If you are rejoicing when they fail, the Lord will take his hand off of that situation, and he will end whatever consequences he is doling out. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to be focused on evildoers and envying what they have and envying how they're living. We need to be focused on our vineyard, our home, our community, our thing, with the wisdom of the Lord to build that, and let the Lord take care of all the other stuff. When we put our focus, we put our eyes on things that are not what the Lord has given us to do, we get into challenges, we get into trouble, we get into comparison, we get into envy and jealousy, and those things are works of the flesh. And the Lord has no parts of that. He is all about love and kindness, gentleness, self-control, and those are the things, amongst others, that we need to be operating and building what the Lord is having us to build with those fruit in mind. And when we do good comes back to us. When we are gracious, graciousness comes back to us. When we are merciful, we receive mercy. And so the Lord is really, he's really interested in all the things that he has created for us to do. So I think sometimes there's some misunderstanding in the body of Christ that building for the Lord means you are building specific ministry, or that you're building a church, or you're leading Bible studies and things like that. And all of those things are important and valuable, but there's many people that won't ever get there. And so the work of your hands, the business, the products, the services that you offer in the marketplace is just as much ministry as somebody coming to a church. If you're doing it with integrity, if you are creating products and services that are solving problems, that is godly work. And so just take heart to that. The Lord desires for those things to be built well, and for his people to be in places of leadership, and places of counsel, and places of building. And if we are focused on him, focused on his wisdom, then the things that we do for him will last, and will be a benefit to all of those that we encounter. So I pray that has been a blessing to you. I would love to hear what else you think about this particular passage. There's many, many, many things, many rabbit trails I could go down, but I'm trying to be focused on what really has come to mind. But if you are a business owner, if you are desiring to be in business, if you're desiring to even work in a business, and even being employed by a business, there's importance to that too. So even if you are not the leader, if you are not the owner, but you work in a place, you are part of building that vineyard. You're part of building that house. And so the Lord has something very specific for you. So use his wisdom, surround yourself with wise counsel, do what godly counsel instructs, and you will see success. So thank you for listening. We will see you tomorrow for chapter 25. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 25. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.